The alien warships appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's orbital sensors showed nothing but empty space and the usual traffic of human vessels. The next moment, 300 massive ships materialized above the planet. They hung in the darkness like predators circling prey, their hulls gleaming under the distant sun. On the ground, alarms screamed across every military installation. In cities around the world, people looked up at the sky and saw the ships blocking out the stars. Fear rippled across the planet like a wave. In the North American Defense Command Center, buried deep beneath a mountain, General Marcus Stone stood before a wall of screens. He was 57 years old, with gray hair cut military short and a face carved from years of hard decisions. His uniform was crisp and perfect, but his eyes were cold and calculating. "Status," he ordered. 300 ships, sir, his tactical officer reported. Lieutenant Sarah Park's fingers flew across her console. "Unknown design. No match in our database." They appeared simultaneously across orbital positions around Earth. No warning. No detectable approach vector. Weapons. Reading massive energy signatures. "These aren't cargo vessels, General. These are warships. Heavy ones." General Stone studied the displays. Each alien ship was enormous, easily 10 times the size of humanity's largest battlecruiser. They formed a perfect grid around Earth, positioning themselves to cover every angle of the planet. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer called out. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Audio and visual." "Put it on screen," Stone commanded. The main display flickered. An alien face appeared, filling the enormous screen. The creature was reptilian, with scales that shimmered between green and gold. Its eyes were large and multifaceted, like an insect's, but they held intelligence. Cold intelligence. Its head was crowned with bony ridges that swept back like a helmet. When it spoke, its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. "Humans of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was deep and resonant, translated instantly by some technology into perfect English. "I am War Master Zethus of the Krell Empire. We have come to claim your world." The command center went silent. Every person stopped what they were doing and stared at the screen. Zethus continued, its expression showing nothing but arrogance. "Your species is young. Primitive. You have barely begun to explore the stars around you. You know nothing of the galaxy's true powers. You are children playing with toys." General Stone's jaw tightened, but he remained silent, watching. "The Krell Empire has conquered 400 worlds," Zethus said. "We have subjugated 50 species. We are the dominant force in this sector of the galaxy. And now we have decided that Earth will join our empire." The alien leaned forward, its faceted eyes seeming to stare directly through the screen at everyone watching. "Here are our terms. You have 72 hours to surrender. 72 hours to accept Krell rule. All human military forces will disarm. All governments will dissolve. All resistance will end. You will become subjects of the Krell Empire, serving us as your betters." Zethus's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. "If you surrender peacefully, we will be merciful. You will be allowed to live. Your cities will remain standing. Your people will work for us, serve us, but you will survive." The alien's expression hardened. "If you refuse, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. We will select one of your major cities and remove it from existence. Completely. As a lesson. Then we will ask again. And again. Until you understand that you have no choice." Around the command center, officers exchanged glances. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. All of them waited for their general's response. "You have 72 hours, Zethus repeated. "Use that time wisely. Discuss among yourselves. Debate if you must. But understand this truth. The Krell Empire takes what it wants. You cannot stop us. You cannot fight us. You can only choose between submission and extinction." The alien raised one clawed hand. "Your countdown begins now. 72 hours until we expect your answer. We will be waiting." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. For 3 full seconds, nobody in the command center spoke. The silence was heavy, oppressive, filled with the weight of what they had just witnessed. Then General Stone turned to Lieutenant Park. "Get me the president. Get me the Joint Chiefs. Get me every defense minister of every nation on this planet. Conference call in 10 minutes. "Yes, sir," Park said, her fingers already moving. Stone looked back at the tactical display showing those 300 alien warships surrounding Earth. A lesser man might have felt fear. Might have felt despair. But General Marcus Stone had spent 40 years in the military. 30 of those years preparing for exactly this scenario. First contact with hostile aliens. Earth's military had wargamed this situation 1,000 times. They had plans, contingencies, preparations that most civilians didn't even know existed. Sir, another officer said hesitantly, those ships, the power readings are off the scale. If they're telling the truth about conquering 400 worlds, we might not have any choice but to. There's always a choice, Lieutenant, Stone interrupted. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. Always. The officer swallowed and nodded. 10 minutes later, General Stone stood before a wall of screens showing the faces of Earth's leadership. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, admirals, defense secretaries. Every major power, all connected, all watching him. You've all seen the transmission, Stone said without preamble. Alien warships. Surrender demand. 72 hours. I need authorization to implement Protocol Sentinel. There was silence on the other end. Protocol Sentinel. The contingency plan developed for exactly this scenario. The plan that assumed Earth would one day face a technologically superior alien threat. The plan that very few people knew the full details of. The President of the United States spoke first. General Stone, are you certain? Protocol Sentinel is extreme. So is genocide, sir, Stone replied. These aliens have given us a choice between slavery and death. I'm offering a third option. What option? The Chinese premier asked. Stone's expression didn't change, but his eyes grew colder. We show them what happens when you threaten humanity. More silence. Then one by one the leaders gave their authorization. Some reluctantly. Others eagerly. All of them understanding that Earth had just reached a turning point in its history. When the last authorization came through, General Stone nodded. Protocol Sentinel is now active. We have 72 hours before the Krell expect our answer. He turned to his tactical team. Get me a direct channel to that alien war master. It's time to deliver our response. Lieutenant Park looked up from her console, confusion on her face. Sir, we still have 72 hours. Shouldn't we use that time to prepare? To coordinate? To? No, Stone interrupted. We respond now. Immediately. Before they think we're actually considering their offer. What should I tell them, sir? General Stone smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Tell War Master Zethus that the commanding officer of Earth's defense forces requests immediate communication. Tell him a human general wishes to discuss terms. The message was sent. For several minutes there was no response. Then the screen flickered. War Master Zethus appeared again, his reptilian features showing what might have been amusement. A human general, Zethus said, his voice dripping with condescension. How quaint. You wish to negotiate the terms of your surrender already? Wise. Perhaps your species is not as foolish as I thought. General Stone stood at attention, hands clasped behind his back. His face showed no emotion. When he spoke, his voice was clear and steady. War Master Zethus, I am General Marcus Stone, Supreme Commander of Earth's Unified Defense Forces. I've reviewed your demands. I've considered your ultimatum. And I have a response. Then speak, Zethus said, clearly expecting capitulation. Stone looked directly into the camera, directly at the alien war master who thought humanity would simply bow down. You gave us 72 hours to surrender, Stone said calmly. I'm giving you 72 seconds to withdraw your fleet and leave this system. Starting now. The command center went completely silent. Every officer stared at General Stone like he had lost his mind. Lieutenant Park's mouth hung open in disbelief. Even the faces on the screens showing Earth's world leaders showed expressions of shock. War Master Zethus stared at Stone for a long moment. Then the alien threw back its head and laughed. The sound was harsh and grating like metal scraping against stone. 72 seconds? Zethus repeated, still laughing. You dare threaten the Krell Empire? You who have never left your own star system. You whose ships are toys compared to ours. You whose weapons are primitive and weak. The alien leaned closer to its camera, its faceted eyes gleaming with malicious amusement. Human general, your arrogance is almost entertaining. Almost. But it is also foolish. Suicidal. You have seen our ships. 300 warships capable of reducing your entire planet to ash. And you threaten us. Stone's expression didn't change. He stood perfectly still, perfectly calm. 68 seconds remaining, War Master. Zethus's laughter stopped. The alien's scaled face darkened with anger. You test my patience, human. I could destroy one of your cities right now. Prove our power. Show you the futility of resistance. 63 seconds, Stone said. You are bluffing, Zethus hissed. You have nothing. No weapons that could threaten us. No ships that could challenge our fleet. You are primitive apes who barely understand space travel. General Stone finally showed emotion. He smiled. It was a cold, dangerous smile that made several officers in the command center take an involuntary step back. 58 seconds, War Master. And you're right about one thing. We are relatively new to space. We've only been building serious military infrastructure beyond Earth for about 30 years. Stone's smile widened. But do you know what humans are really good at? What we've practiced for our entire history. What we've perfected over thousands of years of warfare. Zethus said nothing, but its eyes narrowed. Hiding weapons, Stone said. Laying traps. Preparing ambushes. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The general gestured to Lieutenant Park. She hesitated for just a moment, then began entering commands into her console. You see those ships surrounding Earth? Stone continued. You position them perfectly to cover every angle of our planet. Very thorough. Very professional. Exactly what any competent military force would do. 50 seconds, Stone said, his voice growing harder. But you made 3 critical mistakes, War Master. 3 fatal errors that mean your fleet won't leave this system alive. Zethus's claws extended, scraping against its command chair. What mistakes? First mistake. You assumed we were primitive because we haven't spread far into the galaxy yet. You assumed our technology was weak. You never considered that maybe we've been focused on building defensive capabilities rather than exploration. Stone nodded to Park again. She activated a new display. Second mistake. You appeared in orbit around Earth without scouting the outer system first. Without checking what else might be out there. Without looking at our asteroid belt. Our moon. Our neighboring planets. The display showed a map of Earth's solar system. Dozens of red dots appeared throughout the system. On asteroids. On Mars. On the moon. On orbital platforms scattered across the system. What is this? Zethus demanded, its voice losing some of its confidence. Those are weapons platforms, Stone explained calmly. 47 of them. Built over the last 30 years. Hidden in asteroids. Buried under lunar surface facilities. Disguised as mining operations on Mars. Each platform carries enough firepower to obliterate a ship the size of yours. He paused. 40 seconds. Zethus's faceted eyes widened. Its reptilian face showed something humans rarely saw from conquerors. Uncertainty. You're lying. Trying to scare us into retreat. Our sensors would have detected such weapons. Would they? Stone asked. Our scientists spent decades studying how to hide energy signatures. How to mask power sources. How to make weapons invisible to the scanning technology used by most spacefaring species. We learned from every alien ship that passed through our system. We adapted. We prepared. Stone's voice grew colder. And that brings me to your third mistake, War Master. The biggest one. The one that's going to cost you everything. What mistake? Zethus's voice was no longer arrogant. It was wary now. Afraid. You assumed that because Earth seemed alone, it actually was alone. You thought we were isolated. Unprotected. You never considered that we might have allies. The display changed again. This time showing a different section of space outside the solar system. New contacts appeared on the screen. Ships. Lots of them. 30 seconds, Stone said. Those are human battle groups. 5 carrier strike groups, currently stationed at jump points outside our system. 215 ships total. Modern. Armed. And very angry that you threatened their homeworld. Zethus stood up from its command chair. Around it, other Krell officers were checking their sensors, their voices rising in alarm. This is impossible. Our intelligence said humans had no significant military presence. No fleet capable of. Your intelligence was wrong, Stone interrupted. We fed you wrong information. For years. Every alien trader that came through our system, we let them see what we wanted them to see. Civilian ships. Research vessels. Mining operations. We hid our military might behind a facade of peaceful exploration. Stone's smile vanished, replaced by an expression of pure steel. 20 seconds, War Master. 20 seconds to power up your engines and jump out of this system. Because in 20 seconds, those 47 weapons platforms are going to activate. In 20 seconds, our battle groups are going to jump into attack positions. In 20 seconds, your 300 ships are going to find themselves trapped in a kill box. Around the command center, officers were staring at their general with new understanding. This had been planned. All of it. The fake intelligence. The hidden weapons. The strategic positioning. Earth had been preparing for this moment for decades. Lieutenant Park looked at her console and saw the weapons platforms coming online. Saw the carrier groups preparing to jump. Saw the trap closing around the Krell fleet. Her hands shook slightly as she realized what was about to happen. 15 seconds, Stone announced. War Master Zethus was no longer showing arrogance. The alien's claws gripped its chair, its faceted eyes darting between displays. Around it, Krell officers were shouting reports, their voices filled with panic. Our sensors are detecting power spikes across the system. Multiple weapons platforms activating. Unknown ship signatures appearing at jump coordinates. This is a bluff. Zethus shouted, but its voice lacked conviction. You would not dare attack us. We have conquered 400 worlds. We are the Krell Empire. 10 seconds, Stone said quietly. On the tactical displays, every weapons platform was now fully active. Energy readings were off the charts. The Krell fleet sensors were finally detecting what had been hidden from them. And what they saw terrified them. Each platform was armed with weapons that made the Krell's technology look outdated. Railguns capable of firing projectiles at relativistic speeds. Particle beam cannons that could slice through shields like paper. Missile arrays carrying warheads designed specifically to counter energy shielding. 30 years of human innovation. 30 years of preparation. 30 years of building weapons in secret, knowing that one day someone would come to threaten Earth. 5 seconds, Stone said. War Master Zethus's claws trembled. Pride warred with survival instinct on its reptilian face. The Krell Empire did not retreat. Did not show weakness. Did not back down from inferior species. But the sensors didn't lie. The power readings didn't lie. The trap was real. For seconds. Zethus made its decision. All ships, the alien War Master shouted. Emergency jump. Get us out of here. Now. 3 seconds, Stone continued, watching the Krell ships beginning to power their jump drives. Around Earth, 300 alien warships began to glow as their faster-than-light systems activated. They had come to conquer. They had come to subjugate. They had come expecting an easy victory. Now they were running for their lives. 2 seconds. But they wouldn't all make it. 1 second, General Stone said. Fire, he commanded. Across the solar system, 47 hidden weapons platforms unleashed hell. The lunar surface erupted as concealed missile silos opened. Hundreds of missiles screamed into space, their engines burning white-hot as they accelerated toward the Krell fleet. On Mars, massive railgun installations that had been disguised as mining equipment rotated toward their targets. In the asteroid belt, platforms that looked like simple research stations opened their armored shells to reveal particle beam cannons. The night sky above Earth lit up like daylight. War Master Zethus watched his tactical display in horror as the weapons fire converged on his fleet. Evasive maneuvers. Maximum shields. Return fire. But the Krell ships were positioned for orbital bombardment, not combat. They were spread out in a perfect grid around Earth, exactly where General Stone had wanted them. Each ship was isolated, unable to provide covering fire for its neighbors. And they were still powering up their jump drives. Still vulnerable. Still trapped. The first railgun round hit the Krell battleship Devastator. The projectile was moving at 12% of light speed when it struck. It punched through the ship's shields like they didn't exist, through its armor plating, through its entire hull from bow to stern. The ship's power core detonated 3 seconds later, creating a miniature sun that briefly outshone the moon. One ship destroyed. Lieutenant Park reported, her voice shaking. Multiple hits registering across the fleet. Missile swarms reached their targets. The Krell point defense systems tried desperately to shoot them down, but there were too many, coming from too many directions. Explosions blossomed across the alien formation like deadly flowers. War Master Zethus gripped his command chair as his ship shuddered from nearby detonations. How long until jump drives are ready? 20 seconds, a Krell officer shouted. We need 20 more seconds. We don't have 20 seconds. Zethus roared. On Earth, General Stone watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Each red dot representing a Krell ship was now surrounded by indicators showing incoming fire. The aliens were trapped in a perfect crossfire, unable to maneuver, unable to flee, forced to endure the punishment. Battle groups are jumping in now, sir, Park reported. Space around the Krell fleet rippled. Jump points opened like tears in reality. Through them came human warships. The carrier group Washington emerged first. The massive carrier was flanked by 6 cruisers and 12 destroyers. Behind them came the Churchill group. then the Beijing group, then the Yamato and the de Gaulle. 5 complete carrier strike groups, 215 ships, materializing in perfectly coordinated attack positions. The Krell fleet was now surrounded. All ships weapons-free, General Stone ordered. Execute pattern Delta. The human fleet opened fire. Unlike the Krell with their energy weapons, humanity had embraced kinetic warfare. Railguns, missiles, physical projectiles moving at devastating speeds. The technology was older, simpler, but brutally effective. A Krell cruiser tried to turn and run. 3 human destroyers targeted it simultaneously. Railgun rounds tore through its engines, leaving it dead in space. Missiles finished it off, breaking the cruiser into burning fragments. Another Krell ship managed to get its shields to full power. It lasted 6 more seconds before a particle beam from a lunar platform punched through a weak point that human engineers had identified years ago studying captured alien technology. War Master Zethus watched his fleet die around him. Ships exploding. Vessels going dark. Escape pods launching in desperation. This was supposed to be a simple conquest. An easy victory. The humans were supposed to surrender or die. Instead, the Krell Empire was suffering its first defeat in 300 years. Jump drives ready, an officer finally shouted. Jump. Zethus commanded. All ships, emergency jump to rally point Alpha. Space began to twist around the surviving Krell ships. Of the 300 vessels that had arrived, only 212 remained functional. 88 ships destroyed or disabled in less than 3 minutes of combat. But the survivors were escaping. Sir, they're jumping out, Lieutenant Park reported. General Stone nodded calmly. Let them go. Target only the ships that remain behind. Disabled vessels are to be boarded and secured. As the Krell fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, the human ships moved through the debris field. Boarding parties launched toward the 43 disabled Krell ships that couldn't jump. Marines in combat armor breached hulls and secured vessels. War Master Zethus materialized in empty space 3 light-years from Earth. Around his flagship, the survivors of his fleet appeared one by one. He counted them with growing despair. 212 ships. He had lost nearly 1/3 of his fleet. To humans. To a species the Krell had dismissed as primitive. Get me a communication channel to the Krell High Command, Zethus ordered, his voice hollow. Inform them that the invasion of Earth has failed. Inform them that humanity is not what we thought. On Earth, General Stone stood in the command center as cheers erupted around him. Officers were celebrating, hugging each other, shouting with joy and relief. They had won. Earth had survived. But Stone didn't celebrate. He walked to a quiet corner and pulled up the casualty reports. 47 human sailors dead when a Krell ship had managed to return fire before dying. The destroyer Hudson had taken a direct hit. 32 more casualties. 79 humans had died in 3 minutes. 79 people who would never see their families again. Stone closed his eyes briefly, acknowledging each name on the list. Then he opened them and returned to work. The battle might be over, but the war was just beginning. Lieutenant Park, he called. Yes, sir? Send a message to all human facilities across the system. Maintain battle readiness. Increase patrol schedules. Begin recovery operations on disabled Krell vessels. I want their technology analyzed within 48 hours. You think they'll come back, sir? Stone looked at the tactical display showing where the Krell fleet had jumped away. They've conquered 400 worlds. They've never been defeated before. Pride alone will bring them back. Next time with more ships. More preparation. More determination. He turned to face his command staff. We won today because we were prepared. Because we spent 30 years building weapons in secret and planning for this moment. But now the secret is out. Now the galaxy knows Earth has teeth. Every hostile species will be watching. Studying. Preparing. Stone's expression hardened. This wasn't a victory. This was a warning shot. We showed one alien empire what happens when they threaten humanity. Now we need to make sure that message spreads to every corner of the galaxy. Lieutenant Park nodded slowly. What are your orders, sir? We take those captured Krell ships and we learn everything we can from their technology. We upgrade our weapons. We expand our fleet. We build more platforms. We prepare for the next fight. Stone looked at the image of Earth on the main screen. That beautiful blue marble, hanging in space, home to 8 billion humans who had just learned they weren't alone in the universe. And we send a message to every species out there. To anyone watching. To anyone considering coming to our system with hostile intent. He smiled grimly. We tell them what happened here today. We tell them that War Master Zethus brought 300 ships to conquer Earth. We tell them he left with 212. And we tell them that if they want to test humanity, they better bring more than 300 ships. Because we'll be ready. 3 days after the battle, the galaxy learned what happened at Earth. The news spread through trade routes and communication networks like wildfire. Alien species gathered in bars, markets, and council chambers to discuss the impossible story. The Krell Empire, undefeated conquerors of 400 worlds, had been humiliated by a species that barely knew how to travel between stars. On the Zytherian homeworld, Ambassador Quill received the report with disbelief. The crystalline being's light patterns flickered with shock as it read the details. 300 Krell warships. 88 destroyed. The rest fleeing in panic. This cannot be accurate, Quill said to its aide. Humans are a young species. We have studied them. They have minimal military presence beyond their homeworld. The aide, a younger Zytherian named Vex, displayed the sensor data that Krell survivors had transmitted. The data is verified, Ambassador. The humans had hidden weapons throughout their system. Platforms we never detected. Ships we never knew existed. They planned this ambush for decades. Quill's crystalline form pulsed with thoughtful colors. Decades of preparation. Building weapons in secret while presenting themselves as peaceful explorers. That is concerning. Should we be worried? Vex asked. Worried? No. But wary? Absolutely. The Krell made the mistake of underestimating humanity. We should learn from their error. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Every species reassessed their understanding of humans. The peaceful, curious species that had been exploring nearby systems suddenly looked very different. In the Velcrin Military Command Center, General Thax studied the tactical data from the battle. The spider-like being's 12 eyes focused on different screens simultaneously, analyzing human weapon systems, deployment strategies, and combat doctrine. Impressive, Thax clicked to his officers. They used kinetic weapons. Simple physics. Nothing exotic. But deployed with perfect timing and overwhelming force. Classic ambush tactics. They are dangerous? One officer asked. All species are dangerous when cornered, Thax replied. But humans are dangerous by choice. They prepared for war while appearing peaceful. That suggests intelligence, patience, strategic thinking. Those are the traits of a species that will survive in this galaxy. He turned to face his officers fully. Update our threat assessment. Humans are no longer classified as minimal concern. They are now potential threat level 4. Treat them with respect. Do not provoke them. And absolutely do not threaten their homeworld. Meanwhile, in Krell Empire space, War Master Zethus faced the consequences of his failure. He stood in the throne room of the Krell High Command, his body rigid with shame. Above him, on platforms arranged in a circle, sat the 7 High Masters who ruled the Empire. Their faceted eyes stared down at him with cold judgment. High Master Vrath spoke first. War Master Zethus, you commanded 300 ships. Our finest warriors. Our most powerful vessels. You assured us that conquering Earth would be simple. A demonstration of Krell superiority. Yes, High Master, Zethus said, his voice barely above a whisper. Instead you lost 88 ships. Nearly 1/3 of your fleet. To a species we believed was primitive and weak. Explain. Zethus wanted to make excuses. To blame faulty intelligence. To claim the humans had used forbidden technology. But he knew better. The Krell valued honesty even in failure. We underestimated them, High Master. We assumed their lack of expansion meant weakness. We did not consider that they were preparing defenses instead. We walked into a trap they had been setting for decades. Another High Master spoke. What is your assessment of human military capability? Formidable, High Master. Their weapons are kinetic-based but highly effective. Their tactical planning is excellent. They fight with coordination and discipline. And most concerning, they think long-term. They planned for this confrontation before they even knew we existed. Can they be defeated? A third High Master asked. Zethus paused before answering. Yes, High Master. But not easily. Not cheaply. To conquer Earth would require a fleet 3 or 4 times the size I commanded. Perhaps larger. And even then, casualties would be severe. The High Masters conferred among themselves in their own language, a series of clicks and hisses too rapid for translation. Finally, High Master Vrath spoke again. War Master Zethus, the Krell Empire has never retreated from a challenge. Our pride demands we punish this insult. However, our wisdom demands we consider the cost. Vrath leaned forward, its eyes gleaming. You will be demoted for your failure. You are no longer War Master. You are now simply Commander Zethus. But you will be given a chance at redemption. You will prepare a report on human military capabilities. You will develop a strategy for conquering Earth. And you will submit it to this council for approval. Yes, High Master, Zethus said, bowing deeply despite his humiliation. But understand this, Zethus. Before we commit more resources to conquering one primitive world, we will consider whether the prize is worth the cost. Earth may be wealthy, but the Krell Empire does not waste lives on pride alone. Back on Earth, General Stone received his own communications from across the galaxy. Some were from species offering trade agreements, suddenly much more generous than before. Others were from military alliances requesting humanity join their defensive pacts. A few were from species asking for protection against threats like the Krell. Stone reviewed each message with his command staff. "They're afraid of us now," Lieutenant Park observed. "Before the battle we were just interesting newcomers. Now we're a legitimate military power." "Fear and respect often look similar," Stone replied. "The question is whether we can turn this moment into lasting security or whether it just makes us a bigger target." Admiral Chin, commander of the carrier group Washington, appeared on screen from her ship in orbit. "General, we're receiving requests from 17 different species asking to purchase human weapon systems. Apparently, word about our railguns and particle beams has spread." "Deny all requests," Stone ordered immediately. "Our technology stays with humanity. We don't know who might be a future enemy." "What about allies?" Chin asked. "The Dalari have been friendly since first contact. The Ixian as well." Stone considered. "Approved allies can receive defensive systems only. Nothing offensive. Nothing that could be reverse-engineered to use against us. And all sales require presidential approval." He pulled up another message on his screen. This one made him smile slightly. "What is it, sir?" Park asked. "A message from the Galactic Trade Federation. They're inviting Earth to join as a full member with voting rights. Before the battle they offered us observer status only. Now they want us at the decision-making table." Stone's smile faded. "Power changes everything. 3 days ago we were an isolated species hoping to make friends in the galaxy. Now we're a force that can't be ignored. The question is what we do with that power." "What do you want to do, sir?" Stone looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defensive network. The platforms that had saved their world. The ships standing guard. The weapons that had proven humans belonged among the stars. "I want to make sure we never have to fire these weapons again," he said quietly. "But I want everyone in the galaxy to know we can. And we will. If necessary." He turned to his staff. "Prepare a response to all species. Tell them Earth is open to peaceful relations. Tell them we want trade, diplomacy, and friendship. But also tell them what happened to the Krell fleet. Make sure the message is clear." "What message, sir?" "That humanity defends its own. That we prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. And that anyone who threatens us will learn the same lesson War Master Zethus did." Stone's expression hardened. "You'll get 72 seconds. Not one more." 6 months after the first battle, the Krell returned. This time they brought 800 ships. The alarm reached General Stone at 3 in the morning. He was in his quarters, still dressed despite the late hour, studying intelligence reports from across the galaxy. He had been expecting this. Hoping he was wrong but expecting it nonetheless. "Sir, massive jump signatures detected at the edge of the solar system." Lieutenant Park's voice came through his communicator. "Initial count is over 700 ships. Configuration matches Krell Empire vessels." Stone was already moving, pulling on his uniform jacket as he headed for the command center. "Sound general quarters. Activate all defensive platforms. Get our battle groups into position. And someone get me Commander Zethus on a channel." "You think he's commanding the fleet, sir?" "I know he is," Stone replied. "The Krell don't waste experience even in failure. He knows our tactics. That makes him dangerous." When Stone reached the command center, the tactical display showed a terrifying sight. 800 Krell ships arranged in a massive formation at the system's edge. Not rushing in like last time. Staying cautious. Learning from their mistakes. "They're holding position at the jump point," Park reported. "They haven't moved toward Earth yet. They're just waiting." "They're being smart," Stone said. "Scanning our defenses. Looking for the traps they missed last time." Zethus learned his lesson. The communication channel activated. Commander Zethus's reptilian face appeared on screen. He looked older somehow, his scales duller, his eyes harder. "General Stone," Zethus said. No arrogance this time. No condescension. Just cold professionalism. I have returned as you knew I would. Commander Zethus, Stone acknowledged. I see they gave you more ships this time. 800. That's impressive. Also insufficient. Zethus's expression didn't change. You bluff well, General. I will grant you that. But my sensors have mapped your entire system. 47 weapons platforms as before. 5 carrier groups also as before. You have made improvements, added some new defensive satellites, but nothing that changes the fundamental equation. The Krell commander leaned forward. 800 ships, General Stone. Even with your traps and ambushes, we have overwhelming numerical superiority. This time you cannot win. Stone smiled calmly. You're absolutely right, Commander. If this was the same battle as 6 months ago with the same forces, you would win. Your numbers would overwhelm our defenses eventually. We would inflict heavy casualties, but you would prevail. Then surrender, Zethus said. Spare your people the suffering. The Krell Empire can be merciful to those who submit without resistance. I'm sure you can, Stone agreed. But there's a problem with your analysis, Commander. You're fighting the last war. You prepared for the Earth you encountered 6 months ago. But we've had 6 months to prepare too. Stone nodded to Park. She activated a new display. Across the solar system, new signatures began appearing. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. Energy readings that made the Krell sensors scream warnings. What is this? Zethus demanded, his calm facade cracking. You see, Commander, after our first encounter we had a decision to make. We could rest on our victory and hope you never came back. Or we could assume you would return with overwhelming force and prepare accordingly. Stone gestured to the display showing the new signatures. We chose to prepare. In 6 months, we've built 233 additional weapons platforms. We've constructed 3 new carrier groups. We've upgraded every system, every weapon, every defensive position. We've also done something else. Something you didn't consider. What? Zethus's voice was tight with tension. We made allies. The space around the Krell fleet suddenly filled with new jump signatures. Ships began appearing. Lots of them. The Dalari fleet emerged first. 60 ships, smaller than human or Krell vessels but fast and heavily armed. Then came the Ixian battle group. 40 ships with experimental weapon systems. The Planthori added another 50 vessels. And then, to everyone's surprise, Zytherian warships appeared. 100 crystalline vessels that refracted starlight into blinding patterns. The galaxy watched what happened here 6 months ago, Stone explained calmly. They saw the Krell Empire attack a peaceful species without provocation. They saw humanity defend itself successfully. And many of them decided they didn't want to be the Krell Empire's next target. He smiled. So we formed the Terran Defense Alliance. 7 species committed to mutual protection against aggressive empires. Together we have over 600 ships in this system right now. And unlike your fleet, Commander, ours has been training together for the past 4 months. Coordinating. Planning. Preparing. Zethus stared at the tactical display showing his fleet now surrounded by a combined force nearly equal in size. But he was a warrior, not a fool. He could see the strategic situation. The Krell fleet was at the edge of the system, far from Earth. The Allied fleet was closer, positioned to intercept. The weapons platforms would provide covering fire. And this time, the Krell couldn't simply jump away easily. The Allied ships were blocking jump coordinates. You have been busy, General Stone, Zethus said quietly. I don't like leaving things to chance, Stone replied. Now you have a choice to make, Commander. You can attack and we can slaughter each other in a battle that will cost thousands of lives on both sides. Or you can withdraw, report to your high masters that Earth is no longer a viable target, and save your warriors for fights you can actually win. Zethus was silent for a long moment. Around him, Krell officers awaited orders. Behind him, the pride of the Krell Empire demanded revenge. Victory. Conquest. But in front of him was a force that could genuinely defeat his fleet. You offer mercy? Zethus asked. I offer pragmatism, Stone corrected. Your warriors are brave. They deserve to die in battles that matter, not in a pointless assault on a heavily defended system. Take your fleet home, Commander. Find easier conquests, weaker targets. But leave Earth alone. Zethus's claws gripped his command chair. Stone could see the internal struggle on the alien's face. Pride versus survival. Honor versus wisdom. Finally, Zethus spoke. If we withdraw now, the Krell Empire will know it was because we chose to. Not because we were defeated. Not because we were afraid. Of course, Stone agreed. You chose to preserve your forces for more strategic targets. A wise military decision. And if we encounter human ships elsewhere in the galaxy? Then we'll be professional, respectful, possibly even cooperative if our interests align. But if you threaten us or our allies again, Commander, next time I won't offer you a choice. I'll just give you another countdown. Zethus nodded slowly. Understood, General Stone. Perhaps the Krell Empire and humanity are not meant to be enemies. Perhaps not, Stone agreed. Perhaps there are bigger threats in this galaxy that we should both be worried about. Zethus's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. You have heard something. In your intelligence networks. I have suspicions, Stone admitted. Reports from the outer rim. Something is moving in the dark spaces between stars. Something that makes the Krell Empire look small. But that's a conversation for another day, Commander. Zethus studied Stone for a long moment, then nodded. Another day, General. I will recommend to the High Masters that Earth be removed from our conquest list. You have proven worthy of respect. As have you, Commander. You learned from defeat. That's rare. The channel closed. The Krell fleet began powering their jump drives. Within minutes, all 800 ships vanished, returning to Krell space. In the command center, celebrations erupted. The Allied fleet sent congratulations. Humanity had faced down an empire twice and won without firing a shot the second time. But General Stone didn't celebrate. He stood staring at the empty space where the Krell fleet had been, thinking about what he had mentioned to Zethus. The reports from the outer rim. Something big. Something dangerous. The Krell had been a test. A challenge that humanity had overcome. But the real threat was still out there, waiting. 2 weeks after the Krell's departure, General Stone received a message that changed everything. It came through classified channels, marked with the highest security protocols. The sender was Admiral Kira Vasquez, commander of the Human Deep Space Reconnaissance Fleet. Her ships patrolled the far edges of explored space, watching for threats before they reached human territory. Stone opened the encrypted file in his private office. Admiral Vasquez's face appeared on screen. She looked exhausted, her eyes carrying the weight of terrible knowledge. General Stone, she began, her voice tight with tension. 3 days ago, my patrol encountered something at the edge of the Perseus Arms, something that wasn't supposed to exist. She pulled up sensor data. Stone leaned forward, studying the readings. We detected a debris field. Massive. Spread across 3 light years. At first we thought it was natural. Asteroid fragments. Comet remnants. But then we found this. The image showed a piece of wreckage. It was clearly artificial. Clearly a ship. But the design was unlike anything Stone had seen before. Organic curves mixed with crystalline structures. Technology that seemed to blend living matter with machinery. What species built this? Stone asked. We don't know, sir. The wreckage is old. Maybe 1,000 years. Maybe older. But here's the concerning part. We found Krell ship fragments in the same debris field. Fresh ones. No more than a month old. Stone's blood ran cold. The Krell were there? A full battle fleet by our estimate. At least 400 ships. They fought something. They lost. Badly. We found enough debris to account for maybe 300 vessels completely destroyed. The rest probably limped away. Vasquez's expression grew darker. Sir, whatever destroyed those Krell ships, it wasn't using energy weapons or kinetic projectiles. The hull damage is different. Molecular dissolution. Like something was eating the ships. Breaking them down at an atomic level. Stone sat back in his chair, processing the implications. Why didn't the Krell report this? Why hide a defeat of that magnitude? Pride maybe. Or fear. Or maybe they didn't want to admit that something out there can destroy their fleets more easily than humanity can. Do you know what attacked them? Vasquez hesitated. We have a theory, sir. But you're not going to like it. She pulled up historical records. Ancient texts from various species. Legends. Stories that every civilization in the galaxy told their children to scare them. Every species has stories about the devourers, Vasquez explained. Ancient machines that consume everything in their path. Technology. Biological matter. Entire planets. The stories say they appear from dark space every few thousand years, harvest whatever they find, then disappear again. Stone had heard the legends. Most species treated them like fairy tales. Warnings about hubris. Cautionary tales about technology run amok. You're saying the devourers are real? I'm saying something destroyed 300 Krell warships using technology we don't understand. Something that leaves behind wreckage showing molecular dissolution. Something that matches the description in every ancient legend. Vasquez paused. Sir, I think they're coming. And I think the Krell encountered their advanced scouts. Stone closed his eyes briefly. Humanity had just established itself in the galaxy. Made allies. Proven they could defend their world. And now faced a threat that made the Krell Empire look insignificant. How long do we have? Unknown, sir. Could be years. Could be months. The Devourers don't move in predictable patterns. But if they're active again after thousands of years of dormancy, they'll eventually reach inhabited space. Stone opened his eyes. Send me all your data. Every sensor reading. Every piece of wreckage analysis. Everything. Already done, sir. It's in the classified server. Good work, Admiral. Continue your patrols but stay cautious. If you see anything unusual, jump out immediately. Don't engage. Don't investigate. Just run and report. Understood, sir. Vasquez out. The screen went dark. Stone sat alone in his office thinking about what he had just learned. Then he activated his communicator. Lieutenant Park, convene an emergency meeting. Presidential level. I need the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense, and representatives from all Terran Defense Alliance species. 2 hours. Sir, what's the emergency? We just learned that the Krell aren't our biggest problem. 2 hours later, Stone stood before a room full of Earth's leadership and holographic representatives from allied species. He displayed Admiral Vasquez's findings, watching their expressions change from curiosity to concern to outright fear. The Dalari representative, Ambassador Tila, spoke first. The Devourers. We thought they were just stories. Myths to explain ancient catastrophes. They're real, Stone said flatly. And they're active. They destroyed a Krell battle fleet a month ago. That's why Commander Zethus was so willing to withdraw. The Krell Empire knows something is coming. Something worse than any territorial dispute. President Adeyemi studied the data carefully. What do you recommend, General? Stone pulled up a strategic display showing the entire galaxy. We need to do something unprecedented, sir. We need to unite the galaxy. Not just our alliance. Everyone. Every species. Every empire. Even the Krell. The room erupted in protests. You want to ally with the Krell? Defense Minister Zhang demanded. They tried to conquer us twice. Yes, Stone said firmly. Because the alternative is extinction. The Devourers don't negotiate. They don't conquer. They consume. Everything. If they're coming, we need every ship, every weapon, every species working together. He turned to address everyone in the room. 6 months ago we showed the galaxy that humanity can defend itself. Today I'm proposing we show them something else. That humanity can lead. That we can bring former enemies together against a common threat. That we can be the species that saves the galaxy instead of just defending one planet. The Zytherian ambassador's crystalline form pulsed thoughtfully. This would require convincing species who have been enemies for centuries to cooperate. The Krell and the Velcrin hate each other. The Toral and the Morgothi have fought 3 wars. How do you unite them? Stone smiled grimly. The same way we convince them to respect us. We show them they have no choice. We present the evidence. We demonstrate that the Devourers are an existential threat to everyone. And we offer hope. A plan. A way to survive. What plan? President Adeyemi asked. That's what we're going to develop, sir. Starting now. We bring together the best minds from every species. Engineers. Scientists. Tacticians. We study the Devourer technology from the wreckage. We learn their weaknesses. We build weapons specifically designed to fight them. Stone's voice grew stronger. Humanity spent 30 years preparing to defend Earth from unknown threats. We succeeded. Now we spend the next few years preparing to defend the entire galaxy. We've already proven we're good at building weapons in secret. Let's do it again. But bigger. Better. With everyone's help. The room fell silent as the leaders absorbed Stone's proposal. Finally, President Adeyemi stood. General Stone, you're proposing we transform humanity from a defensive power into the galaxy's guardian. That's a massive responsibility. Yes, sir. But someone has to do it. And right now, we're the only species that every other species respects but doesn't fear will dominate them. We're new enough that we have no ancient grudges. Strong enough that our leadership won't be questioned. And proven enough that they'll listen. Adeyemi looked at the other leaders. At the allied representatives. At the data showing the destroyed Krell fleet. Very well, General. You have authorization to proceed. Form your coalition. Build your defenses. Save the galaxy. Stone saluted. Yes, sir. As the meeting ended and representatives dispersed, Lieutenant Park approached Stone quietly. Sir, do you really think we can unite the galaxy? Stone looked at the tactical display showing countless stars. Each one potentially home to species that would need to learn to trust each other, to work together, to overcome millennia of conflict in the face of existential threat. I don't know, Lieutenant, he admitted. But 6 months ago, the Krell thought they could conquer Earth in 72 hours. I gave them 72 seconds. We proved that humans don't back down from impossible challenges. He smiled. So let's prove it again. On a galactic scale. 3 years later, the Galactic Defense Initiative had united 47 species in common cause. The Krell Empire contributed ships. The Zytherian Collective provided advanced sensors. Humanity coordinated everything, using the tactical genius that had defeated 2 Krell invasions. When the Devourers finally arrived in force, they encountered not scattered, isolated species, but a united galaxy ready to fight. The first battle was brutal. The second was strategic. The third was humanity's idea, and it worked. General Marcus Stone, standing on the bridge of the United Fleet's flagship, watched the last Devourer vessel retreat into dark space. Around him, representatives from species who had been enemies just years before celebrated together. The galaxy had learned what Earth discovered when the Krell first arrived. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't having the biggest weapons. It's knowing when to use them, and when to extend a hand instead. Humanity had given the Krell 72 seconds. Then they gave the galaxy a second chance. And together they survived.